Good morning, hello, and welcome to the latest video. Today is going to be a pretty short video. The purpose of this video is to show you an exercise to do in the gym, which, in my opinion, is probably one of the most underrated exercises there is out there. Why is it underrated? Because I hardly see anyone doing it whatsoever. In fact, I've never seen anyone doing it. Yet, in terms of muscles in cycling and running, it utilizes them in a way which really closely mimics how they're utilized on a bike. Now, in this present day, if I do a quick Google search, naught comes up really about this exercise. And if I look on YouTube, there's absolutely no videos on this exercise whatsoever. So today's video is purely to explain the benefits of this exercise, but critically show you how it's done, because doing the exercise properly is very, very important not to cause injury, and also to make sure you're doing it correctly and activating the right muscle groups. Now, before I quickly explain it, I'd like to credit my physio for telling me about this exercise, because the reason I've come across this exercise is that he prescribed me it when I explained certain pains that I sometimes get on the bike. In terms of why we do it, we've got a lot of really key strength exercises that we can do in the gym, such as a squat, such as a deadlift, and so on and so forth. But often these exercises, they put you in a position where you are strong. So in a squat, you're flexing at the hips, the knees and the ankles in triple flexion. You're going down and then you're pushing up in triple flexion as well. Even in a deadlift, there is triple flexion, triple extension, and the load is placed in a way where you are your strongest. Now that's all well and good, and it gets us strong and it gets us powerful. But with this exercise called the seated RDL, you're putting your lower back and your glutes in a position where they are compromised. It mimics how they are on a bike, and it asks that posterior chain to work in this compromised position. Now, the reason I do this exercise is because start of the mountain bike season, I often get lower back pain or aching in my glutes and lower back towards the end of a race, because those muscles are being overworked to what they're used to. And then after a period of races where I get more used to it, that pain goes away. And that's very common for mountain bike races and cross races for the start of the season. But since doing this exercise, I've completely eradicated that. I've got lots stronger. And also, as a side benefit, I have improved my squat and my deadlift massively, because the weak part of those two lifts is essentially what I'm working specifically in this exercise. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. Let's get to the gym. Let's show you how to do a seated RDL. So here we are. We've had my espresso and we're at the gym. We've set the platform up like this for the RDL. And it's a key point to note while I pause the video here, just how I've set things up. So critically, there is a bar on the squat rack, which is set up very similar to if I was to do a squat, racked at the appropriate height for my shoulders. And there's a bench behind me. This bench is roughly the correct height, so that when I sit on it, there is a right angle at my knee. And yeah, a couple of steps back so that I can unrack the bar and step backwards into that position. You'll then know that I sit on the bench. Again, just to reiterate, so my knees and my hips are roughly 90 degrees. Then to start the exercise I just simply flex at the hips. The critical point to this exercise is that the only flexion is just at the hips. So the way in which I'm doing this is essentially just allowing my upper torso to come down to my knees. Critical point is that my back is absolutely flat.
Before I start the movement, every single rep I really check my form. I make sure that my shoulders are retracted and down. If anything, I'm looking up ever so slightly as I start the movement, and almost kind of hyperextend my upper back before I start to drop my torso. But that is very critical that your back remains flat all the way through the exercise. The weight in which I'm using for this exercise is only relatively light. I'm doing it with 40 kilos here. It's not a massively strong position that you put yourself in, so don't be going to try and kind of load this right up with heavy weights. Here's another angle from the front. In my opinion, not a great angle, but you can see that I'm just flexing at the hips, bringing my front of the torso down, keeping my upper body nice and upright. You'll note that I'm not excessively looking up as I'm doing. I'm keeping kind of a neutral spine all the way down. But yeah, critically not flexing at the spine, which is the key component to this lift. Anyway, hopefully that gives you a good indication of how to perform this exercise. As I say, in terms of cyclists, you'll note like in that position when I'm fully flexed, that is very similar position to what I would adopt on like an aero road position or an aggressive mountain bike position, cyclocross position. Hence putting those glutes and lower back in a compromised position, and that is why it is so good for cyclists.